Hello.
Oh, sorry. It's so I don't forget it later. I might get distracted letting people in the room, so.
That's all right. I better be good now. Okay. Put the phone down.
We'll cut all that stuff out anyway, Eileen. Don't worry about it.
All right. I love it. Who's GURP? GURP is great. What a great name, GURP.
I don't know if he's got audio. Okay.
Oh, well, what a iconic Seattle day today, huh? Oh, love this.
And about
All the
about 10
mountains
of
were
them
out.
lately.
Oh, it's beautiful. My garden is going great guns. Love that.
Yeah, I hear some folks have some crazy tomatoes going already.
I got 8 plants and my largest one is about the size of a quarter. That's about it so far. Wait till August.
Okay. Tom, do you have a way of putting the next slide in the notes on on your second screen?
Yeah, I have that presenter view up.
Oh,
Oh, you're seeing the
Yeah.
wrong screen.
yeah.
Okay, let me share the other screen. Should be just this one. There we go. How's that?
Perfect. There we go.
There you
This
go.
way everybody gets to see it bigger.
Yeah.
I know my eyes are going bad.
No, I just, yeah. I need a little instruction on managing that PowerPoint presenter view.
Mm.
But it works well. It works well if you can get it to work right.
It's true.
You can draw. So you think we have about 50 people signed up?
Yeah, we have more. We have, I think, 55 or 56.
That's great.
So yeah.
Do you have a way to tell if some of them are from far away or?
No, I just know an email address.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know sometimes people register anyway, just so they get the recording and they know they can't show up in person, live, virtually. So
We'll have to like run little ads or little announcements in green building groups, in green building places around the internet so that we can get people more wider.
Yeah.
A wider variety of people.
So knowing that, does everyone want to have a very punctual 6:30 start time, or do we want to give folks a few extra minutes?
Well, I think if you can see the bigger grid view and you can tell how many people are clicking in and getting admitted, then
Oh, I mean, I could see.
yeah, if you have a pretty good, you might wait 4 or 5 minutes, I'd say.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a vote from the people that showed up on time.
Looks like you have 18 people now.
Oh yeah, I got a thumbs up to starting on time.
Okay.
All right.
So just a real quick question of everyone that's here now. Did you get the invite, or sorry, the Eventbrite reminders that came today in advance of this that have all the Zoom link? I know last session we had some folks have trouble finding the Zoom link, so.
The Zoom link for the meeting.
Yeah.
I got a reminder, and I had the original invite on my calendar.
Cool, okay. All right, T-minus less than a minute, Tom.
No pressure.
I had a college professor who used to watch the second hand go up to 8 o'clock in the morning and just boom and start talking in a moment.
Oh,
And then he talked nonstop for an hour.
at 8 in the morning? Oh boy.
Zoology 1. Yeah, 8 in the morning, Zoology 1.
Oh, zoology.
Laryngeal gill slits and all that,
What is that?
Just a reminder to everyone that this is being recorded. We'll cut out the silliness.
I'll try.
I have 6:30.
Yep.
All right, Tom, take it away. If anyone has
Okay.
tech issues, send me a private message.
Okay.
There you go.
Welcome to all who are on board with the Zoom meeting to the June session, education session, of the Northwest Eco Building Guild. We are, if you're not familiar with the Guild very much, or you're new, we are now a 25-year-old organization and mainly focusing on education about green building, low carbon buildings, low energy buildings. And tonight, we're really lucky to have Eileen
Yeah.
to
Okay.
talk to us about air quality. And we're all starting to think about air quality. We think about it all winter, but now we're thinking of, as the summer comes on, we're starting to think about air quality when the outside air might not be so good. And I know I'm thinking about the firefighters out there and hoping the wildfire season is more manageable, particularly that the wind, stays within control that can make the fire so much worse. So just keeping good thoughts for those folks out there that are getting ready for probably a pretty tough fire season.
Yeah.
We're going to let Eileen get into the details of the event. And I just have a few announcements for you before we start. The event is being recorded. Recordings of the event will be available to all participants next week, and these get eventually posted on our website so you can learn from them in the future. Please mute your microphone, and I will do the same in case my dog starts to bark or something else untoward happens in the background. We will have question and answer time at the end of the session, and we have a chat box on the Zoom meeting course, so you can post your questions on there, and I'll try to log those and make sure I ask them for Eileen. Please email or call Helen at the email address displayed and the phone number displayed if you have any logistical questions or questions getting connected to the meeting. I want to thank our sponsors tonight, and we're lucky to have sponsors that can make these sessions possible. And because the sponsors can't be here to have their table, I'm just going to read a short statement from each of them. So, Mighty Energy Solutions provides tools and techniques to improve air quality in your home. Mighty Energy.
Uh-oh. He froze up. Uh-oh. Anybody else have any problem?
Not sure what's going on here.
I think Tom froze up.
All right, let's see. Oop. I'm gonna see if I can pick.
Or he's speaking, but we can't hear him. Did he mute himself?
He's on mute.
Oh yeah, he is.
Oh, he is. Okay, give me one moment. I'll unmute him.
There you go.
Oh,
Sorry about that. I don't know how I got muted. I can start over with the Mighty Energy sponsor.
yeah. Why don't you start over, Tom? Thank you.
Okay, well, we want to say thank you to our event sponsors, and we're lucky to have them to help make the session possible tonight. Our first sponsor is Mighty Energy Solutions, and because our sponsors can't be here with tables to talk to you all, we have a short statement from each of them. So Mighty Energy provides tools and techniques to improve air quality in your home. Mighty Energy is proud to sponsor this evening's important event. When heating your home, most methods involve bringing air in from the outside, even from your crawl space, or blowing it in and out of every nook and cranny it can reach. Anything already in the intake air or growing or hanging out in your vents like dust, spores, pollen, or who knows what else will be blasted into your space. Obviously, we all need to bring fresh air into our space. But unless your home is built tight and ventilated right, a simple filter on your furnace is only going to catch so much airborne pollution. And even then, blowing air around in your home is going to cause particulates brought in on your shoes, your clothes, your pets, etc., to swirl up the air you breathe, into the air you breathe. Infrared radiant heat requires zero interaction with the outside air, and it doesn't blow anything around at all. It just quietly shines visible far infrared light into your home, keeping you warm and cozy, which is all you really want from your heating system anyway. Please enjoy this informative program that can help you improve your and your family's health. Contact us and learn more about infrared radiant heating at mightyenergy.net. Great, thanks Mighty Energy. And King County Green Tools Green Tools is another sponsor. So King County Green Tools provides tools for green building. The program is designed to help all King County stakeholders and residents green their built environment while addressing critical environmental issues such as global warming, habitat restoration, solid waste reduction, and community planning. Green Tools provides technical assistance, hands-on training, and policy development through community partnerships in public and private sectors. Green Tools puts practice to work through community engagement, believing that a sustainable community is one that works harmoniously to create a balance between equity for people, economy, and environment. The King County Green Tools website serves as a resource for all kinds of green building information, ranging from case studies to technical references. You'll find information on green building certification programs, construction, demolition, recycling and reuse, deconstruction techniques, and incentives to build green, and many more things. Check out King County Green Tools at www.greentools.us. And our last sponsor is Pathway Design and Construction. Pathway is a Seattle-based full-service remodeling company that specializes in highly aesthetic, eco-friendly custom designs. By focusing on comfort solutions and accommodating homeowners individually, the Pathway team is able to create beautiful and functional designs that are built to last. Paul Kachurik, owner of Pathway, understands that the repercussions of using chemical-based materials in construction and its effects on our health and the built environment. Many homeowners are unaware of the harmful effects certain building materials can have on their home's occupants. That is why Pathway has a strong values around this topic, and is their mission to promote wellness into each remodel project. It is their standard to consciously select clean and eco-friendly materials for each project, while having protocols in place to leave each remodel healthier and more energy efficient. Pathway takes pride in serving the discerning homeowners of Seattle and the East Side to create beautiful remodels that are healthy, eco-friendly, and accessible to all, regardless of age, ability, or stage of life. And I can attest to that. I've known all these sponsors I've known for a long time, and they're all really the top in their field. So I want to announce upcoming events for the Guild. We have in July an education session that should be really interesting, discussion panel on electrifying your home. There has been a strong movement to move away from fossil fuels and natural gas as the 2020s go forward. And this panel will discuss and cover a lot of the issues come up with electrifying the house. On August 25th, we have Northwest Eco Building Guild Picnic, a social event that we have been having for many years. And that's a great chance. I think we'll all be really looking forward to this, to get outside and see each other in person, sometimes for the first time in over a year. On August 20th, Shift Building, which is a statewide organization, is having a multifamily conference. And details of that can be found on the Eco Building Guild website and the Shift Zero website. October 13th and 15th, don't forget the Northwest Green Building Slam and Summit. Our annual conference and Green Building Slam is happening. And for more information on that, visit ecobuilding.org. Some of the partners that we've worked with for a long time and folks we've known a long time are also having great events. September 16th is the Built Green Conference. It's the first in-person conference in a long time. And builtgreen.net is the website to look on that for. And another great event with the Northwest Passive House community is the Passive House Accelerator Weekly Happy Hour. This has been happening ever since the pandemic started, on every Wednesday afternoon. And it's a fantastic, actually, international gathering of people doing presentations on passive house projects around the world and the US and Canada. Great. So without further ado, I'll just say that I've known Eileen for many years, and I know how great she is, and I've had the pleasure of working with her on some work with the Tribal Healthy Homes Action Network, working at the Toilet on the Toilet Reservation, and for her long time at the Lung Association, being the leader on healthy homes. One of the leaders in this area on healthy homes, knowledge on indoor air quality, and promoting those issues for all of us. And thank you so much for coming. And we're going to pass this on to Eileen.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Let's see, there
And
we
you
go.
can take over the screen share, I hope.
Got it. Can you all see this?
Yes.
All right, great. Well, thanks everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. And just want to give you a little bit more background. So as Tom said, I used to work for the Lung Association, and I was the director of the Master Home Environmentalist Program. But I also mainly got into this work as a general contractor, home inspector, but also because I have asthma and multiple chemical sensitivities. So I got exposed about 40 some odd years ago, overexposed to polyurethane in the middle of the winter in Vermont. I was applying and it made me so sick that I slept for 16 hours and didn't hear a chainsaw in my front yard. Ever since then, I get very strong reactions to any kind of very strong smells, paint, depending on the paint, glues, carpeting, padding. My throat closes and I start talking like this. And Doug Kennedy will attest to it, as will a few people who have seen it happen to me. So that sort of led me down this route. Now, where I am now, I left the longest. Oh, before I go any further, I want to thank and do an acknowledgement. I want to gratefully acknowledge the Native peoples on whose ancestral homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here today. I do work for tribes, and I do a lot of work for tribes, in the Pacific Northwest and in Alaska, and actually have traveled all over the country doing healthy homes, indoor air quality work for tribal communities. So it is with great pleasure that I actually work with them, and it's an honor to work with them. In fact, today we were up at Tulalip actually giving out and talking about do-it-yourself home air cleaners using a box fan, which you'll see later. So just as a preface for this, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. If you're really dying to tell me, raise your hand, do whatever you like. I am coming to this presentation as someone whose biggest asthma trigger is wildfire wood smoke. And we are scheduled to have an amazingly tough season this summer. So in preparation for that, I'm going to move forward. So as you can see here, the impact of climate change on human health. So it's going to give you a little background. So in the middle, you'll see the symbols, the sun, the storms, the clouds, and the water. We're going to see much more rising temperatures, more extreme weather, rising sea levels, and increasing CO2 levels, all of which we have seen for years. And some of the tribal and village communities I work with in Alaska, and even on the coast here, the Quinault tribe is having to move up from the places where they traditionally have had their homes because of the rising water levels. The same in Alaska. So there's that, but with that comes more extreme weather. We're already starting to see it on the East Coast. We had, the beginning of hurricane season and tornadoes, places they've never had tornadoes before, and flooding like never gone on. So with all of this, and then we're having this amazing drought. So this is all happening. So this is it's an amazing systemic and integral part of what's going on with our climate, and it all will affect our health. Let's see, that's not going to work, so I have to go. There we go. So these are by the middle of the next century, the coldest night is expected to warm by 6 degrees. Okay, the warmest day predicted to be 4 degrees to 6 degrees warmer in most areas. As you see this, precipitation is projected to increase depending on where you are, and precipitation is expected to decrease depending on where you are. As you look where we are, we're supposed to get along this dry spell, coldest, hottest. It's amazing what's going to happen. On Sunday, this article was in the paper from the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, and I'm going to refer to them quite a bit on the current trends of the Western US suffering extreme weather, climate change impacts. It really was an amazing article. I will be sending, if I could click on that, we could go to the article. And I am going to be doing that throughout this presentation. I will be going directly to some of the sites to show you where you can go and get more information and actually see the studies and the information out there. One of the things, the byproducts of COVID, is that all these indoor air quality building chemists, indoor air quality engineers have come out of the woodwork because everybody has been so invested in trying to deal with COVID. And once they found out it was a respiratory, issue, it was like, okay, what can we do inside the buildings and our homes? Well, all these scientists have been working on this for years with very little funding. And you're going to see some of the studies that came out of it in terms of particulates, pollutions, what happens when you mix, you bring in outdoor air that mixes with the indoor air, especially with chlorine. We'll get there. All right, so what we're going to do is really look at all these pollutant source properties. So we have pollution, dust, and ozone. And I want to say first thing, the most of the sites that talk about the air quality that you can go to on the web talk about particulate matter. Very few include ozone in that resource. So, and that's a very distinctive distinction because ozone is a huge lung irritant. It actually can destroy lung tissue. And so it's something to consider when we start looking at these sites. So you've also got water events with flooding. Of course, you get displacement, you get all these insecurities that go on, you get mold, you get incredible problems, as we all know, since mold tends to be an issue here. And with the excessive heat, already we're seeing it. We don't usually have this kind of heat that we're seeing now in June, usually August. And all of a sudden, I mean, look at the lakes that are drying out, whether it be Lake Mead or any of the other lakes. And some cities and counties have already gone on on the declaration of water shortages. But as this happens, we're also going to see the consequences of this are just going to spill out everywhere till you're going to get dust that comes out. And just think about the Dust Bowl. But you're also going to get food insecurities that happen, especially to those that can least afford it. So, and then we all have experienced within the last couple of years, significant wildfire smoke issues. And unfortunately, the bottom right is sort of what we're expecting this year. We've already had wildfires here. Montana has been fighting one for a while now, a couple of them for a while. And hopefully, and unfortunately, most of the wildfires are man-made. And I was just in Alaska last week, and lightning storms with the heat come lightning. Sometimes it's heat lightning, which can start a wildfire. Fortunately, we got a heavy rain, which put out the major wildfire that was around the area that I was in. So we're going to take a look at the outdoor concentration of just one pollutant. We only got so much time here, right? As we've noticed, fires have gotten bigger. If you see on the slide on the left there, since '83, we've been monitoring it. And if you take a sort of a gradual, it's increased every year. And that's just to 2018. We all remember last summer, Australia. And as you see from the map of the picture of Australia, Australia was on fire. And think about all the animals that got scorched. You saw the koala bears with their scorched hands and feet, and how many thousands and thousands and thousands died because they couldn't escape it, right? So the risk of wildfires is increased by the higher temperatures we're getting, the drier winters, decreased soil moisture, thank you, and our extended periods of drought, which are not only happening especially in the West in our country, but also Australia and around the world. This is a map that the Northwest Wildfire Coordinating Group put out there. And NOAA, and actually you all can go online anytime and look at this. And if you remember the wildfires that were in California, the smoke went way out in the Pacific and then came way back. And actually this smoke went all the way to the East Coast. That's how bad it was. And we all know this. I could barely breathe. Wood smoke is my biggest trigger for asthma. I can't even go camping anymore because in the morning, everybody lights their campfire, the smoke just hangs there and I can't breathe. So, this is more an indication of what could and what has happened. In 2020, you all remember that smoke that went out, and on the left is a graph of the PM 2.5. So that's particle matter 2.5 daily average. Look at that peak. So we're at 750, what is micrograms per cubic meter. That is unheard of. That's dangerous for anyone to be outside. So, and as we're seeing, the millions of acres that have burned, we have British Columbia to Montana to Washington to Nevada to California. All of this, if you sort of take the average, 2019 was an odd year. it reduced. But since then, and since it's been dry, it's all increasing. We've got the beetles that are wreaking havoc on the trees, decreased rainfall, decreased snowfall. Then you've got standing dead. Then you've got a timber policy that was not, preventative, and it was, oh, we're not going to burn and do this prescribed burnings, which created a monster. So it was all these events that happened at once that has created the situation. Plus, on top of that, you put climate change. So a drought monitor, you see in 2020 as compared to 2021, the Southwest, the temperatures down there right now have been extreme. Just 123 in Phoenix, I think. And then you have precipitation, and this comes from NOAA, the National Atmospheric, whatever, okay? Precipitation probability and temperature probability. So all of this is coming on. So my point is, we could be in deep trouble, right? So what I want to talk about here, and as part of this, is the potential impacts on the indoor environment and on human health. Now, we're spending, and you've all heard this, I'm sure, over 90% of our time indoors. And I bet last year, because of COVID, it was more like 95 to 96% of our time indoors. That's not just our home. That's also our workplace, our car, where we go shopping, all of that. We're spending a lot of time in there. Now, with climate change, we have the increased incidence of drought. I've circled this, right? Increased incidence of wildfires. Irrigation, we'll see increased outdoor ozone. Don't forget the ozone. Ozone, as I said, damages lung tissue. What it does for the indoor environment, you have an increased airborne particulate load, okay? You also have increased indoor ozone levels. So increased release of other pollutants from ozone-initiated chemistry. A lot of times when these different chemicals come inside, they mix with the chemicals we have in our home to create other chemicals we had no idea that they were doing. And that's a whole nother presentation, okay? The issue is the potential impacts on health. You have respiratory distress and illness on both from the particulates and ozone. So anybody, no matter, and not only respiratory. So when your lungs, and you'll see this, when your lungs aren't working correctly and are being stressed, so is your heart. Your heart and your lungs work in tandem. So just be aware of that. It doesn't just affect your lungs. Your heart is very, very much involved. And there was just a study that came out last week that looked at the highest rate of cardiovascular incidents happened between people, and especially men, between the ages of 32 and 52, not just the elders or elderly. So, wildfire smoke. Okay, so this table on the right talks about the toxic chemical agents identified in wood smoke. Now, wood smoke is very different than wildfire smoke. Wood smoke, it's the trees, it's the leaves, it's the needles, it's the grass, it's all of that. But with wildfire smoke, you also get the buildings that burn, the cars that burn, all the stuff that's in the buildings. So you have all your plastics, your foam, your insulation, anything that's in a building. And my biggest fear, and one of my biggest fears, not only for the poor people that lose their homes, but also the firefighters that are exposed to this toxic mix of chemicals. So as you see here, this is just a summary of that stuff in wood smoke. So you have everything from VOCs, which are possibly carcinogenic, and you have saturated hydrocarbons, monoaromatics, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, also called as PAHs, which are not only carcinogenic, but mutagenic and immunotoxic. And then you have organic alcohols, aldehydes, phenols, quinones, free radicals, inorganic fine particulate matter. And what we're finding with particulate matter, it is inflammation. It can cause deep inflammation within your lungs, within your heart, within your organs, in your entire body, including your brain, as you'll see. So you've all seen this picture on the left. The human hair is compared to a piece of fine beach sand. Now, PM10, that's particle matter 10, those are 10 microns in diameter. So they make up just a part of that hair. And then as a part of that PM10 is particle matter 2.5, which are your combustion particles, your organic compounds, and your metals. Those are 2.5 microns. You look to the picture on the right, that's an electron microscope of wood smoke particles, which are under 1 micron, which is not even half of those PM 2.5s. Those are so small, they behave like a gas. And that's the stuff that bypasses all of your natural defense systems. So here, this slide, 10 to 100 microns, most either settle on the floor. That's the stuff that you see and you wipe on your counter and you pick up. Those are the big particles, right? So your PM10s, those go past your nose and your cilia, your nose cilia, and your throat cilia. They can get into your lungs. Then the PM 2.5s, those are optimal size for reaching the alveoli. And it's in the alveoli that the ultrafine, so these are the ones that are under 1 micron that actually pass through that cellular wall directly into the bloodstream and travel throughout your body to go wherever they want and to do whatever they can. This slide came up from the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine. I watched, I can't get to 30 hours of indoor chemistry. Size complexity. What I want to point out here is, so the range of size of particles is a range between 250 times in diameter and a factor of 16 million times in mass. So you have particles that range in the same mass ratio between an Etruscan shrew and a gray whale. Those are the size particles we're dealing with here. The complexity, so the indoor concentrations, so this is what comes inside, can change by 100 times or more on a time scale of minutes, especially when you have an episodic emission such as cooking, or which is the worst thing, one of the worst things you can do in the home to create toxins, if besides bringing other chemicals in, right? But this is, so cooking, or are you opening a door to wildfire smoke? So now, what could be wrong with our indoor air? Well, any number of things. You can all see it here. Any perfumes, colognes, body sprays, shampoos, conditioners, soaps, moisturizers, cooking. What do you cook? Do you have a kitchen exhaust fan? Number one. Do you use it? Most people don't because they're noisy. And three, is it vented to the exterior? That's the best part right there, right? Then what do you do in there? I mean, do you use dryer sheets? What kind of stuff do you dry with? Is it vented outside? Do you have plug-in air fresheners? And then your painting, your building materials, all these things that you bring into your home. Do you take things to the dry cleaner, air fresheners, mothball crystals? You've got fluorine treated water in hot showers creates chloroform. Chloroform is a very volatile form that you can connect that with mixes with chlorine, produces it. Then you've got trichloroethylene. So that's an aerosol spray. Then you've got all your nitrogen oxides, such as unvented gas stoves, kerosene heaters, or wood stoves, right? Asbestos, old tiles, in your plaster. You've got carbon monoxide. Everybody should have a carbon monoxide detector on every floor of their home, especially by the bedrooms. And one of the things I say, they say, don't smoke in the home. I say, don't smoke anything. Because we know what's legal. I don't want anybody smoking anything, whether it be fish, your marijuana, your cigarettes, your vaping, your meth. I don't care. Don't smoke in the home. Radon, second leading cause of lung cancer, totally preventable. Hopefully everybody here on this call has had their home tested. I'm hoping, okay? Benzoate, then you get from wood stoves. Formaldehyde, they put it in everything. It's a preservative, it's cheap. And after 30 years, the EPA finally declared it a known carcinogen. Lots of things that we bring in or are brought in or we built our homes out of. Now, there's a couple of things. I'm actually going to go. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to go back. Sorry. I thought, oh, don't do this. It won't let me previous. Looks like, oh, it won't let me do that. So Dr. Richard Corsi used to be with the University of Texas, and he is now with the Portland State University, his head of, and he is an amazing indoor air chemist engineer. And I don't know if I can do this. It won't let me do it. Sorry, I thought I could download or just connect to these links. The home chem experiment here, they actually purchased a mobile home and outfitted it with $4.5 million worth of equipment and did all these tests on what happens when you cook. So the next slide shows you exactly what happens. So if you look at it, so the highlights were cooking, a strong indoor source. So what they looked at was what they did was they cooked a bunch of stuff on Thanksgiving Day. So I'm looking at the top graph where it says Thanksgiving Day. And you'll see breakfast on the bottom sort of peach line. Then you have a vegetable stir fry. This is at the bottom of the graph. Then you have gravy and browning meat. And you have a green that looks like beef chili or removed Brussels sprouts. And then you did a bleach mopping. Okay. Now, what my concern is here is these PM levels. So you see the colors, red next to PM 0.1, PM 0.5, PM 1, PM 2.5, PM 10, and PM 20. If you look at the biggest slides, which are PM 20, so you see breakfast right after that, looks like toast. However, look at these red ones. That's the PM 0.1. Those are your ultrafines. Look how high they are getting from cooking. So your toaster, removing stuffing from the oven. Look what happened when you were browning the meat and then removing the Brussels sprouts. It is crucial and really, really important for the health of your home and you, that you install and vent to the exterior a good kitchen fan. There's all sorts of experiments that looks at the proximity of cooking to a fan. They did a study where they did a downdraft, 18 inches, 30 inches. Obviously, the closer, the better to the exhaust source. This is why, because of these PM particles, right? Okay, so in any case, whether we have natural or mechanical ventilation, we are going to need some type of filtration. Okay, we have both portable filtration units and whole building filtration. Now, I know that there's a lot of emphasis on not using HVAC systems because I get it, you're blowing crap around. However, my challenge to the community is this. Now, with excessive heat and wildfire smoke, how are you going to air condition and how are you going to filter that air? So that's my thought with this. So my challenge is, how do we create a system or using existing systems such as mine? I've got an HVAC, I've got heat pumps and a really good MERV 13 in it and a hermetically sealed ductwork. Now, I also now have air conditioning and I have a MERV 13 that filters the air continuously when I need it. My challenge is, okay, what do we do for those folks who don't have these things? Well, we got portable filtration. So this is a study from my home in 2018. I had at that point a MERV 11. I have upgraded to a MERV 13, whole house HVAC. I installed it in new because I knew the wildfires were coming. I had the Dylos air quality monitor installed and readings taken for, it looks like 11 days. My HVAC system ran continuously. I also had 2 HEPA air cleaners in continuous operation on the first floor and second floor. So these were the filters. So what you see is, oops, sorry, my fault. I'm trying to move this. There we go. Is the new filter on the left. The filter in the middle is somewhat used, and that during the middle of the event, and then that's on the post-wildfire event. So it was pretty effective at cleaning the pollutants out of the home. Now the next one I'm going to show is this. So I just did this demonstration up at Tulalip, and we handed out over 30 do-it-yourself fans. And this is really something anyone can do. If you can't afford an air cleaner, this is because a good HEPA air cleaner can cost you anywhere from $150 to $1,500, depending on the size. You take
Eileen,
sorry.
can I interrupt a quick question? Can you, while you're speaking about filtration, can you talk a bit about what MERV stands for and what it means and the number system?
Yeah, it'll come in a minute.
Okay.
But good idea. So if I go back, this is a MERV, so it's minimum efficiency rating value. So this was a MERV 11. It can go up to MERV 13. Actually, MERV 16 is about a HEPA, and a HEPA is high efficiency particle air filtration system. They are different ones. HEPAs are in air cleaners. MERVs are in HVAC systems. Now, the tricky part is when you get to Home Depot or wherever, a lot of the companies have decided to put their own sort of value systems on these. This is where it gets tricky. So fortunately for this one, what we have here on the left is I have a 20-inch by 20-inch box fan, 20-inch by 20-inch MERV 13 filter that I got put on there. Now, if you look behind the furthest one to the left, it's really clean. The one in front is a little bit dirty, and that was about 2 weeks after doing a small construction project. The one on the right, and I've got it wrapped in plastic, actually, thank you, Doug Kennedy. That filter was removed after 3 days during a wildfire event, not in my house, somebody else's house or apartment. This is how effective this can be for a low cost, very effective air cleaner as you need it. Okay. So I can't, oh, maybe it will go to purple air. Oh, it will. Okay. Purple air. This is a monitoring system. So purple air, I have actually one in my house. They have both indoor and outdoor purple air monitors. And if we go to the map, and I'm going to go to, there we are in Seattle. And I'm going to go right now. I'm number 55. This is mine. The circle around it is an indoor monitor. One without the circle is an outdoor. So you can,
Eileen,
You're not sharing.
Pippin, your slide didn't change.
oh, okay, that's unfortunate. Thank you for telling me. So I guess I can't show you that. So, but what this, okay, so my apologies, folks. So if you go to www.purpleair.com and you can put your zip code in there, you can put your address, you can look at anything around the country. These monitors are home-based or, minor scientist-based. People can have both of these, can be outside or inside. All right. So what this slide shows you is that what is outside usually comes inside. So as you see, and this was done up at TELA, which is the Taylor Early Learning Center, and actually the gym. And you can see inside and outside, the graphs are pretty much the same. So this is what happens, even though your doors or windows are closed, unless you have a really good filtration system somewhere in there, you're going to get whatever's outside, including the wildfire smoke is going to come inside. So before I move on to other types of filtration, are there any questions? I can't see the chat box right now.
No questions so far that I have seen come through the chat box. So
Anybody have any? Because I'm happy to stop right now and actually go back and talk about that stuff. Okay. So there's lots of filtration or types of filtration. There's carbon filters, there's HEPA, there's MERV, electrostatic precipitators, ozone generators, ions, UVGI, and BPI, which is bipolar ionization. We're going to go through each one of these so you can get a better understanding of what they can and cannot do. Okay. So first we have carbon filters. Now they can either be in this form or they can actually be in a fibrous unit that you put around like a HEPA air cleaner. Okay. They're an absorbent media. They usually absorb gases into a high surface area media. Usually it's activated carbon. Their potential for high removal efficiency, it's there, and it doesn't produce any byproducts. However, there is no evidence to speak of its efficacy, meaning whether or not it works to really remove the gases you're trying to remove. That comes from, and you'll see it a little bit, some scientists. Okay. This is the do-it-yourself filter fan that I talked about. There's many different styles. This one in particular, this triangular one, came up with, that was done by the Tallbill tribe. The problem with this one, I know people are lazy and they're not going to take the time to cut out a triangle, another one on the bottom, and then tape it all to it and make it all secure. The Corsi one, which I don't have here, uses 3-inch media filters, and they put the fan on and they build a box around it. So you're filtering the air on all sides as it comes through or gets pushed out. So, but this one I have on the top. So right now, if you can find them, because everybody and their brother, if you need one of these, it's highly recommended you go out tonight or tomorrow, buy yourself a box fan And I recommend not only one filter, but at least 3, because you always need one clean one to compare to see how dirty the one is that you have on there. Because the ones I showed you before, for example, they're right behind me. I'll pull them out. So for example, here's a clean one. It's nice and clean, brand new. This one was the one that was used for 3 weeks or 2 weeks. It's not so bad, but it's not so clean when you compare it to this one, right? Then this is the one that was used for 3 days. And now you can really see how dirty it is. So it's really important to have a couple spares around, and especially one clean one that you don't use, that you use as an example of what it should look like. Because people ask me, well, how often do you change it? Depends on the air quality, right? That's how you know. All those links on it, and I will be sending out a PDF of these slides, excuse me, that you could download these. And actually Puget Sound Clean Air Agency has a great video on how to do it. The caveats with this are this. So with this, excuse me, do-it-yourself fan, you want to make sure you put the filter usually on the back of the fan. So when you turn it on, it sucks the filter to it. Then you tape it on using, I like painter's tape, because if you use duct tape, you know the cats stick to it, right? Use painter's tape, stick it on there. And then you want to make sure on every one of these, there is an arrow, as you see here. That arrow has to go in the direction of the airflow, just like you would put it in your furnace or on any filter. Put it on, so this would be stuck to the fan, taped to it, and you never want to leave this thing running when you're sleeping or when you leave the home, just as a precaution. I hate for anything to happen, okay? But there's lots of other things. Somebody here put a Velcro belt on it. You can use a bungee cord. You can use, I used L brackets to attach it to it. The one on the bottom, they actually have this little thing, little place you can put the filter. It attaches to the fan itself. There's lots of ways you can do this. It's incredibly effective, and actually Puget Sound Clean Air Agency has done studies, and the EPA is doing studies on the efficacy of these and how effective they are in terms of reducing, the pollutants in the home. So here is your HEPA, which stands for high efficiency portable or particulate air cleaner. So these are usually equivalent to a MERV, minimum efficiency rating value 16. And offer the highest available particle efficiency removal of any filter. Now, there are lots out there. The thing is, you want to do your homework. There's a great website from the New York Times called Wirecutter. There's also a website called AQ Spec, and I'll bring that up later, that looks at all of these. The big thing you want to be concerned or think about when you buy these is the size of the room you're putting it in, how expensive the HEPA filter is to replace, and how often it needs to be replaced. I have one that the HEPA filter only needs to replace every 5 years, but it's got 2 pre-filters. So there's lots of ways around it. And you, as I said, can spend anywhere from $150 to $350 to $3,500. Do your homework, okay? So MERV, minimum efficiency reporting value, ranges from 1 to 16, and it's based on the average removal efficiency across those particle sizes, okay? And the EPA just came out about this with COVID, that a MERV 13 is effective at capturing the COVID virus, okay? It's capturing it, does not eliminate it. The best way to eliminate it is to deactivate it using soap and water. That's another presentation. Okay. So then, wrong way. Then we have, here's your particle size and MERV filter ratings. MERV 1 to 4, it talks about what it does. MERV 5 to 8, 3 to 10 microns does molds, 4 dust mite, debris, dander, hairspray. 13 to 16, which is the 0.3 to 1 microns, that's your bacteria, your sneezing, cooking oil, most smoke and insecticide dust. That's the one that the EPA, CDC, most of the experts are saying will also work for COVID, okay? And due to the air resistance, filters over MERV 13 are not recommended in home HVAC systems. If you choose to do that and to upgrade to a higher filter, please check with the manufacturer of your HVAC system before doing so. So, electrostatic precipitators. These actually have wires coming in and the particles hit them. They collect on these plates and that they collect on them. That's the issue. They collect them. And after a while, they become less and less efficient at collecting because they get full. Unfortunately, when they first start up and set a charge over those, they can generate a little bit of ozone. Ozone damages lung tissue. A lot of asthmatics have taken these out of their homes because it makes a big difference on them, okay? So you really, really want to think about these before you install them in your home. Next one are ion generators. They use a high voltage wire on a carbon filter brush to charge the molecules, which do these ions that attach to airborne particles. The charged particles are then collected either on other plates or attracted to other stuff in the room and deposited someplace else. They generate ozone. Anything that says smells like a summer rain, generates ions and negative ions and makes it, no. They generate ozone. They also, the studies have come out saying we do not know these actually can do more harm than good because of what they attach to and what they produce with other chemicals that happen to be in your home. Then we have ozone generators. Now, these can be used in very, very specific areas. They will kill everything biologic. So they work for, for mold and for flood things like that. Once again, they are sold as air cleaners. Intentionally, they produce ozone. No federal agency has approved them for use in occupied spaces. When people go in to turn them off, they're in full hazmat gear. They have to be because the stuff is so dangerous. So there's our ozone. Then we have ultraviolet. Now, there's a lot of okay, so with COVID, a lot of companies have come forward to say that they have this new and improved product that will help kill the coronavirus. Well, UV lights have been around for decades and have been used in medical facilities for decades because they work so well. They do inactivate, viral, bacterial, and fungal organisms, so they are unable to replicate, okay? It does not remove the microbes. They can be effective. They do require very special PPE to prevent damage to the eyes and skin. So usually they are inline ductwork. You can get some that are portable that come into rooms. There are a lot of units now that are available to the residents, to the average homeowner that uses UVC. You want to be very, very careful with these. You want to make sure you go to the site that I'm going to give you or tell you about that will tell you whether these are approved for home use. Now, that's the ultraviolet. Then, oh boy, then you get bipolar ionization or corona discharge. Needlepoint ionization, other ion, reactive oxygen air cleaners. These produce reactive ions and have become prevalent. This is the stuff that a lot of companies have been selling as the new and improved. It will kill COVID. It is the thing. The problem is they are not peer reviewed. They are not scientifically gone through scientifically rigorous examinations or studies. The studies do not currently exist on this technology. Manufacturer data should be carefully considered before you even install these. Okay, they can be modified to create mixtures of reactive oxygen species, ozone. They come with a huge grain of salt. So, and they say, oh, you don't need to check them. Well, you do, and they become less effective over time. There's a study that came out from Boeing that looked at the use of bipolar ionization for disinfection within airplanes. Not worth it. They decided not to use it. And I think I put it on the resource page. There's a new one from ASHRAE, new guidance for residential air cleaners. This is also a really good guide. So let's see. This is the snake oil. I love this. So this came from Mother Earth, Mother Jones News. I love this. Okay, desperate to reopen and loaded with stimulus gas, schools are spending millions on high-tech air cleaners. Nothing purifies. Please don't use air purifiers. Nothing purifies, it cleans, okay? Are they safe? That's a great article. That just came out too. So, California Air Resource Board. This is the board that gives you certified air cleaners. That's the website. If you Google CARB, California Air Resources Board, it will take you to the site. I was hoping to be able to do it. I can't. So this is, California obviously is on the cutting edge. And this resources board will actually look at all of the, not all, you can actually put an air cleaner. It has a searchable database for the one you're looking for, or you can look through them. You can also look for, so that's for the CARB resource. I'm going to go back. So the partners are the EPA. It focuses on California's unique air quality challenges. And there are 35 local air pollution control districts that regulate emissions. So it's a great source for you to go to figure out what kind of air cleaner to purchase. So for this one, this is your basic guiding principle. Reduce or remove the sources of pollution and ventilate using clean, if you can, outdoor air. My part, I added this, don't bring any contaminants inside to begin with. Then you don't have to remove them. Operating a portable air cleaner and or upgrading the air filter in a central furnace or HVAC system. Choose a portable air cleaner with a high clean air delivery rate, which is different than California Air Resources Board, and size appropriately to the room. You have to make sure you size it appropriately. If you choose something that's too small, you're going to have to run it in high, and some of these air cleaners are kind of noisy. It will bug you. If you like a lot of white noise, it'll work great. To filter gases, this says use an air cleaner with a high amount of absorbent or chemisorbent medium, either like charcoal, but currently there is no industry test method or certification on effectiveness and safety for portable devices on the effectiveness of these consumer grade gaseous filtration devices. Who knows, right? So for a central or HVAC system, choose a filter with a MERV 13 or higher. That came out of this particular article on new guidance for residential air cleaners, ASHRAE Journal for September 2019. So next one. So you want to also create a clean air space. Now this is going to be tricky. How do we, in most homes, they're not airtight. Even, a passive house has been having problems with the filtration system, and they're like, okay, we got to put a gasket on where the filter goes in for the HRV. Great. Most people can't afford a passive house. Most people have older housing. I have a 1916 house, so that's 100 and whatever years old, 105. I've done some upgrades. It still leaks. I'm better than code, but it still leaks. Okay. So if it gets really bad, you want to choose a room that fits everyone. Living room, right? Close the windows and doors, filter the air. Okay, so you want to use a certified portable air cleaner and run it continuously on the highest setting. Don't smoke anything in the home. Stay cool. Air conditioning, if you have it. Fans, well, you can put a do-it-yourself one in there and use a damp cloth or mop to trap the settled dust and particles. Now, if it gets too hot, people are going to want to open their windows. You've got to get air. How are you going to get so hot in there? How are you going to do that? That is our challenge. How do we create safe and clean rooms, excuse me, in a home that does not have, or with a home, maybe the people don't have the financial resources for an an air conditioner. They're going to put it in their portable one. Are they going to move it from room to room? Are they going to buy multiple ones to put in their living room, their bedroom? What's going to happen? How are they going to filter the air? Air conditioners, as far as, and I haven't done the research, I don't know what kind of filtering potential there is, or what kind of filter and the rating of a filter that is on an air conditioner. Is it working well? And does it work well? As soon as you open the door to the outside, you've now brought outside air in, that potentially polluted air. What I'm suggesting is you create a negative pressure, sort of like lead safe work practices, a negative pressured room. So you open the door, the air flows out, you come in, just a little fan in there so it blows out. Got a zipper door, you take your stuff off, you close the front door, open the zipper door, step through. That will help. Who has those resources? You guys probably do. Most people don't. So what are we going to do? Another thing you can do is avoid vacuuming, frying food, or using any kind of a gas-powered appliance. So, sensors. Now we're into some sensors. The Dylos you see here, that's just an air quality monitor. And it is right here. This is the one I use to pick up particulate matter, and it does 0.5 microns. Okay, it's not a great one, but it gives me an idea of how polluted the room is. This AQ spec, if you go to aqspec.gov or AQ, just put in there AQ spec, you will find, and they will send you to a site about the actual performance of all commercially available low-cost air quality sensors. Okay, it aims at performing a low characterization, low-cost sensors under ambient, both field and controlled laboratory conditions. One of the things I also want to mention is that some of these sensors, or some of these tests that have been done on some of these air cleaners, were done in lab situations. I don't live in a lab. I probably think you guys don't either. It gives you a false sense of security because it lets you think that, oh, it works this well. Well, that's in a lab, in a very controlled space with a lot of controlled issues. We live in a home with a dog, a cat, a bunny. I got outside, I got plants, I got probably mold somewhere. There's mold everywhere. I'm not a lab. So I want you to be very careful about thinking about it. You have to do your homework on these. Okay, so your sensors, the two on the bottom, this one on the left that has a little 1 on it, that's the indoor purple air. And the one on the right is the outdoor purple air. And the one up top is this Max one. The instructions are so tough. I've had this for about 3 months and I have not figured out yet, nor have I spent the 3 hours. It will take me to figure out how to get this thing online and active. I'll do it tomorrow in my house. Okay. So Here's air quality sensor performance evaluation center, AQ spec. There you go. Put that in there. It will look at the sensors that you're interested in. So there's also the IAQ Science site that does this resource bank. It looks at building ventilation, dampness, VOCs, all these things. And once again, that link I was hoping would be active, but it's not. Then you have the EPA guide to home air cleaners. Then you have the residential air cleaners here for portable air cleaners and furnace filters. And then I put in some of the links of the resources that I found in the list. It's 3 pages long. I've sent it to Helen, who will be sending it out to folks. So everything from Boeing to EPA to, HEPA filters effectively reduces airborne respiratory things. Yeah, and experts warn of overblown claims and harm to children, all sorts of information out there. Now, thoughts on your work now and for the future. So this is a challenge. It is really important to continue our critical work in advancing the technologies and practices for green, sustainable, healthy building and housing. However, unless we pivot to address the climate and justice issues in housing, it is like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Okay, and continuing to lock in the hold those that can least afford it, those most vulnerable. So unless you know, in the Titanic, the poor folks were locked downstairs and they were not able to get out when it was sinking. Housing and and those people most vulnerable, children, low income, communities of color, are the actual most vulnerable to the effects of climate change and all of this. So I want you to think about it. So, and Gillian said, homes are now the equivalent of your life raft. Heat and smoke will be intense, and in some cases will be life-threatening. And all that time indoors, it is really time to focus in our indoor air. And with that, thank you. Questions? So I'm going to stop sharing unless we want to go back, but I can always do that. So there we go, everybody.
Yeah, thank you all.
Wow.
I have a
Woo.
few questions that I've noted down from the chat.
Great.
Okay.
Let me ask you those first, Eileen, and then we can open it up for other questions.
You bet. Oh, I see 24. Great. Okay.
Can you talk about the idea of MERV filters that are as high as 17 and 20?
I think they only go up to 16. I think MERV only goes up to 16.
Okay. Okay. The next question is, can you
Hold
talk
on,
about-
hold on, before we move on, sorry. One of your slides, Eileen, did show, I think, MERV 17 to 20.
Okay.
I don't know if they're used in certain systems only, or if they're really
Probably.
specialized.
Probably a medical situation, I would think, or like, I would imagine like with spacecrafts, you don't want any dust or anything getting in there. I don't know exactly. I'd have to go. Oh, I like that. I'd have to go back and take a look more at that. I had to filter through so much information. This thing was overwhelming. As you can hear, there's a lot of information. So I'm going to write down these questions, and I can actually go
MERV
back.
17 to 20?
MERV.
Right. The other question, Eileen, is about ESP versus MERV 13.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah.
can we, before we ask that question, there's a related one that was just sent to me directly. The MERV, do they cover the smallest micron particles that get into the alveoli?
Alveoli, yes.
Alveoli, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
they do. If you can, 13 is good, because if you look at, and when you get the slides, when I'll send out the PDFs I should have sent this is what we should do in the future. Send out the PDF first so people can go through and actually look at this stuff. But yeah, and I didn't print out a slide set for me to look through. So yeah, the MERV 13 and actually all of the wait. This one doesn't say it. This one does. So this one, okay. This MERV 12, oh, it doesn't tell me. No, it just tells me flow rate. So some of them, yeah. So if any was to Google MERV 13, you can actually get the micron size in that. And I think in one of the slides, I talk about the MERV. If I don't, I'll find it. MERV 13 and size of microns. Okay. MERV size, the size of microns. Got it. I'll do my research.
Another
Okay.
question I had about filters was ESP versus
Yeah.
MERV 13.
What about ESP?
ESP, is that a different type of filter?
It's electrostatic precipitator. So it's the ones that you stick into an HVAC unit that are electric and you turn them on and they send a charge over them and they attract the particles to it.
Right, like an electronic air cleaner.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't
ESP be
recommend
more
them.
effective? Oh,
What, say
sorry.
that again? I'm sorry, Tom.
Would an ESP be more effective at removing particles versus MERV 13 or HEPA?
No, I would still put I would replace the ESPs with a 3-inch pleated paper one, because as the particles collect, it becomes less effective. People forget to wash them. People forget to change the filters. This is the thing. We have to learn to be proactive about keeping up with these, because as you saw, some of these filters, they were dirty in 3 days. So, for example, they say most furnace filters should be changed every 3 months. If it were me in a very old house and I had asthma, I'd be doing it every month. So it really depends on the house, your issues, the quality of the filter you have, all of these things combined, and maintenance. We are not good at maintenance. We are lazy. People are lazy. Sorry. Then generally, now people in this, you guys, you've learned, and I've learned. I know, and I've done this for 40 some odd years. The bottom line is most people don't take the time to take care of their homes because they don't realize how important they are. They're beginning to. COVID really brought that to the surface because all of a sudden they realize, oh, indoor air. Oh, guess what? COVID. And now a lot of folks have made it worse by all those antibacterial wipes. I want to kill them. Okay, that's a whole nother presentation. Okay.
And that's another thing.
Yeah.
Can you talk about using an HRV with HEPA or high level filtration?
That would depend on the manufacturer. I don't know enough about HRVs and each individual manufacturer. I know I have a Mitsubishi heat ductless mini split, and the filter I can see through, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is what? This is nothing. Oh, but we can upgrade it. Well, the upgrade, the filter, there's 2 parts to it, and the upgrade was just on the bottom 2 inches. And I just started laughing. I said, if you think the air is going to go deliberately through there, you're crazy. It's going to go over it. Why would it go through something that's going to offer it more resistance? It's not. It's air is lazy. It goes wherever it wants to. It's going to go over it. It's not going to go through that. And here they are trying to sell that as a fix. Unconscionable. Sorry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That leads me to a comment
Okay.
that, and as your HVAC energy auditor guy, I'll second this. The higher the filter level, the more resistance it creates to the airflow. So
Right.
it may not be an issue for a short-term thing like smoke, but for the long term, this can cause loading of your fan.
Right.
reduced airflow inefficiency, and even equipment won't last as long if you don't have enough
Right.
airflow to drive that filter, and more
Right.
fan energy, by the way. So
Right, so here's a trade-off. For one thing, you want to check with the manufacturer to see if you can upgrade to a MERV 13.
Mhm.
I had a system designed and installed that could handle a MERV 11. And I upgraded to the 13. So, my lungs are kind of worth it. So I'm hoping it will be okay. In the off season, I can, when a wildfire event comes, I'm going to put the 13 in there. For the most part, I keep it at the MERV 11.
right, and it may not be a problem for the short term.
Exactly.
Hopefully a few weeks.
Yeah. And you got to remember to replace it with the MERV 11 when it's done, right? So you have to be really, really proactive. Just like we go to the doctor, we have to become house doctors, because really that's what this is about. Okay, next.
Okay, so the other question is gas ranges bad? Question mark.
Oh yeah, bad. Okay, so oh boy.
Gas range good, gas range bad.
Okay, so I could have had a gas furnace. I chose not to. I went all electric. I could have chosen a gas cooktop. No, thank you. I know too much of the pollutants it puts out. Even though you think it's just a little, there's a lot more. That there's nitrous oxide, there's all these gases and toxins in there. Go with induction. It works just as quickly. I'm trying it. I got my so I'm waiting to get a kitchen remodel till prices of wood comes down and people can fit me in, because everybody's so busy, right? So I got a one burner induction burner to try it out. Man, the thing's amazing. Now, yeah, it's got some, you got some stuff, but it doesn't put out the gas. I'm not an expert on the kind of toxins that gases put out, but I don't want any combustion source in my house other than birthday candles. I know too much, okay? I also know that when you cook on it, let's say if you stir fry with gas, the toxins that puts out in the home are just phenomenal. And go to that home chem, look, you guys, look at that place. There's so much good work that's being done on indoor air and indoor chemistry. It is phenomenal. I am so happy. It makes me very happy. I know, I'm sorry, but Richard Corsi is doing some great work. That National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine site, they had 3 webinars this spring at 4 hours a piece. The most amazing information that came out about indoor air, indoor chemistry, building chemistry. You want to learn this stuff inside out, you watch those. You will get such an education. I could watch them 3, 4, 5, 6 times and still pick up more and more information. Excellent work is being done.
I think I'm going to send you some LED birthday candles for your birthday next year.
I actually have some, but thank you.
Yeah.
Most people know me. They know, they're like, where are the candles? And I'm like, well, these flicker. I even have an electric fireplace. It has, it's got a remote. It works great. It looks real, So yeah, I just don't, it's also my biggest trigger. And I just know the chemicals and the products and the gases that are put out by gas really, and you've got, all right, what kind of carbon footprint does it have? What are we doing to extract it? So we're looking at the big picture also. So I got solar panels, but I refinanced and put that money back into the house and was able to pay off a $30,000 system in 6 years. So
yeah. So there's a question, since you mentioned it, antibacterial wipes are no better than soap and water, correct?
Oh, They're
Use,
worse.
those use of
No.
those wipes add a lot to the daily quality of air also, enough to consider them.
So, okay, so antibacterial wipes. So most people, when they get out, and you can buy a 6-pack at Costco, drives me nuts. So these things, first of all, if you look on the bottom, there's an EPA registered number. It's a registered pesticide. It's designed to kill. COVID is best deactivated with soap and water and rubbing. Best way to let it go. Now, people use these antibacterial wipes, and mostly where they use them on their kitchen counter. Well, if you read the instructions, it says, first off, if it's dirty, you have to clean with soap and water first. Okay, then you might as well be done. You're done right then. Then when you use them, you have to, first of all, wear gloves. Nobody wears gloves. Then you have to saturate the surface and leave it wet for its dwell time, which can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 10 minutes. Then you've got a pesticide on your counter, which you're not supposed to use on a food prep area. What's good about these things? I don't know.
Right.
They're making money for somebody, not us. Okay. And
Right.
then, so this is also, so a lot of people now can only use a certain amount of antibiotics. So we become antibiotic intolerant, right? I only have 2 that I can use because there were so many used on me when I was younger. We've got antibiotics on our counters now. We've got them in our food. We've got them everywhere. We don't need them. Soap and water works great. Just great. Wouldn't you agree, Fran? Okay, really, it's just, we have to get simple. We have to bring things back to a simpler level. What was the thing? It was, keep going with the questions. It'll come to me.
Okay, what are the options to filter the air if you have a ductless mini split heating cooling system?
Good
The
question.
wall units don't have their own filtration.
Well, if you have a ductless mini split, I would actually talk to the manufacturer about upgrading within the system itself. And if not, you got the do-it-yourself air cleaner. That's about all you can do, unfortunately. I don't know, and I haven't done the research to see the ones that are being produced now, the ductless mini splits, if they've been able to put in a higher grade MERV filter. I don't know that. Anybody else know? Okay, that's a good question.
So I guess I'll open it up to if anybody wants to ask a question. You can unmute yourself and ask a question.
So I had to put a question in the chat. We have a Honeywell electronic air cleaner that was put in when our furnace was put in about 11 years ago. It sits between the air intake duct and the furnace, and it has 2 giant cells that you wash off and some pre-filters. I can get no information from Honeywell about whether that covers any kind of wildfire smoke particulate. So the presumption is it doesn't. So that's the first question.
Okay, so I would keep them very, very clean because they're most effective when they're clean. The charge goes down and it attracts it to it. Now, there is a happy place with those where a certain amount of particles is good because they attract a certain amount of particles. But when they get too full, then they can't attract. So I don't know what that happy place is. That's a great study. Richard Corsi, let's go get Richard Corsi down in Portland and get him to look at it.
So does a filter like that cover the very small micro particles that you've been talking about?
I have no idea. And that would be a great question for either Honeywell or Richard Corsi has a website and a Twitter handle, and there's lots of great indoor air quality experts. if you go to that National Academies for Science, Engineering and Medicine, they have lots of scientists on there. Then there's also ASHRAE. ASHRAE might be an interesting one to send it to, but we'll see. I don't know where to go to with that. I'm sort of losing experts to send you to for that. It's a
Yeah.
great question. I would keep them as clean as possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wash them frequently.
Watch
I'm
them
trying to
for-
find out if you can use a post filter on them, like a HEPA or MERV.
I'd be careful, like what Tom was talking about in terms of the pressure differentials and what would happen with not only the energy use, but also the draw on the pressure.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention just a couple things from doing some energy audits recently on this issue. During a smoke event, you want to close your house up, close the windows, but also look for if there's a fresh air duct on your heating system. Sometimes you'll have a furnace in the garage. There'll be an outside air duct bringing fresh, quote unquote, fresh air into it. That could have an electronic damper on it, but in any case, you want to make sure that is closed. Probably, I would tape it off at the outside if you can reach it.
Now, this is where Tom and you and I talked about this a little bit. Would it be possible, because, once you close up your house and then you're recirculating the air, and if you don't have air conditioning, it's going to get really, really hot. So what do you do then? But even if you have that fresh air, that outside fresh air intake, could you put a filter on it so it draws cleaner air through that before it circulates it?
You could probably make some arrangement with a filter and cardboard box over the outside intake. Yeah, you probably could.
Or like a Corsi.
That's my question.
Or like what Dr. Corsi did with his do-it-yourself fan. He put a 4-inch filter on each side of it. So you could build a box out of 3-inch HEPA MERV 13 filters around that input, and that would clean it, and there wouldn't be much of a pressure drop, I would think. I don't know.
Right, and then one other thing you might not be aware of in your home, if you have like gas water heater, gas furnace in a utility room or the basement, you probably have a combustion air intake.
Yes.
So you might have a duct or a vent going to the outside of this just to provide, air for the fire.
Right.
And that's another thing. Of course, you wouldn't want to use the gas furnace during that period, but another place you can be getting outside air coming in.
Right.
Question. So we have most of the air filters I'm seeing are boxes that will basically blow air around a room. We have a whole house ventilation system where we're taking air in from the outside, it goes to a duct, and then the duct blows it into the room. I would like to have a filter that would take the air that's coming through the duct, take it through the filter, and then pass it to the ducts that go to the room. And I'm not seeing that product online.
That's an interesting. Have you seen that, Tom?
No, I mean, if this is an outside air or a whole house air system, if there's not a filter door or filter box built into that system, I mean, usually most air handlers would have a filter door, a filter space built into it.
Right.
But if it doesn't have that, you probably have to do sheet metal work. If I'm understanding your system right.
Yeah, and create a box yourself so a filter could go in, and I'd have that almost hermetically sealed so that you force any air in to go through that filter. So John Alexander was talking about in a passive house, they were having leakage, and they actually had to build a gasket around the filter. So when it went in, it was a tight seal, really tight. That's
It's
going
not
to be
built a house and put in the air filter system, but I don't think he put in the whole house ventilation system. I don't think there's a filter on it. So we want to kind of better fit that with the filter.
Is this like a HRV, a heat recovery ventilator? This whole
No,
house?
just air.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do for the heat recovery, HRV manufacturers make filter boxes that can go, that are separate from the HRV that can go in that system. And
That'd be a good addition.
maybe that would work.
Yeah,
It's just a box designed to hold the filter.
yeah.
Eileen, you may have answered this, and sorry if I missed it, but someone asked the question about the DIY fan with a MERV 13 filter and about what size room or home would that be appropriate for?
Good question. I have no idea. So I think what I'd probably do, obviously, the bigger the room, you're probably going to have to turn it on, more. I would, usually, that's a really, really good question. And that's a great question for, air, an indoor air chemist who can do the studies to figure out how big a room it can go. I know most air cleaners you purchase are sized, but the fans, this is a do-it-yourself kind of thing. So I can't imagine it would work in a room that has a cathedral ceiling that well. In a bedroom, it would work well. That's anecdotal. After that, I have no idea.
Okay, let me just make sure that I know a couple people sent me direct questions instead of to the group chat. So let me just scan real quickly.
This is an interesting dilemma for builders, contractors, and all of this, because as the wildfires increase and as the heat increases, what are we going to do that's energy efficient? That's going to be the challenge. And how do we filter the air? How do we cool the houses? I love, the technology about radiant heat, but how do you cool it? And then how do you filter the air that's going to come in? And a lot of folks, these do-it-yourself fans are great for, but right now that's all we got. So my challenge is to figure out a way to make something better for everybody. Okay, so Linda, what'd you say there? Condos and apartments have different needs. Together in affordable housing and rents to the air could be better by what they put together and actually take with them when they move. Well, there's an idea. And that's what the do-it-yourself would do. I mean, you can take this fan everywhere, anywhere, how to cool it, something else. You get a window. How many in the past 5 years, the amount of window air conditioners has increased tremendously in this city. We didn't used to need them in Seattle. We need them now, right? Well, and how expensive are they to run in there? It's hard to get in, and then you got to leave them in, or if you leave them in, then you got to deal with the winter and you got to cover them, or they leak like sieves. There's not really a good fix for any of this. That's the challenge.
I just want to mention, I think that the basics, like you said, of home maintenance, is people don't feel like they own their space sometimes. And like you said, I mean, I've seen people not using, actually just talked to somebody yesterday, that they don't use their vent, and the smell of the, different cooking, they use a lot of oil. And then the microwave basically caught on fire because it was, the vent wasn't used, and the oil built up. But people don't know that, throw that in the dishwasher. Just basic maintenance, I think, would help a lot so people feel better. And even now, like smelling all the barbecue going on, I need to shut the windows too. So, I mean, just being more aware of what affects people to start with would help some. And then some of the simple things you suggested.
And one of my pet peeves are dryer sheets. You smell those things walking around, and I'm like, oh my God, really, people? You don't have any idea what's in those things and what they They actually make your towels less absorbent. And then when they're in the dryer, they release all sorts of chemicals that didn't even start there. It combines with all this other. Anne Steinemann did some great studies, and she's with the University of Australia in Melbourne, I think. Great studies on what comes out of a dryer when you use dryer sheets. And it's, yeah, I have this great saying. I said, if it smells bad, it's bad. If it smells good, it's probably bad. Okay. So yeah, but we are such a consumer funded and run society, and even antibacterial stuff, people, they're preying on our fear, and it's like, okay, but if we take care of things, if we learn to, and we're not taught this stuff, we're not even taught how to be parents. Forget how to take care of your home, right?
I think also I've been bringing it up with social concerns councils as well, because people ask for things in shelters and when people move on, and a lot of the things they ask for are the wipes and things like that. So the training isn't given to people when, I mean, that's a pretty equal thing in the world if you have soap and water, and to think that's good enough.
Yeah, yeah. And
The simple part.
Yeah, yeah. And I when I was with the lung, I started working with an agency that brought in immigrants and refugees, and they were given things to give them, to hand out, like Ajax and bleach and all this stuff, because that's what they were given. So that's what they gave. And then people watch our commercials and they think, oh, that's what I need to buy because that's what's on TV, right? And it's like, no, but better living through chemistry, right? Yeah, no. But that's part of what we do and why we're here, and what we're doing is getting messages like this out. That's really important, and that's what I do every day with tribal communities. So that's,
so you have to not be afraid to offend your neighbors and say, that dryer sheet.
Yeah, and we have these outdoor little fire pits. Well, my neighbors start burning, and I got to go inside because of my asthma. They don't know, and we've all been taught, oh, the smell of fire, it smells so good, and it's so warm. It has such nostalgia with it, and it's like, what if you can't breathe, right? So yeah.
Thank you for all your information.
You're welcome. My pleasure. And anybody, you're welcome to call. You got my email on this thing, and any questions or thoughts, I'm happy to talk with you and to try and brainstorm with this stuff and figure, how do we make this, how do we turn this around? How do we, move forward? And we're all doing it with what we do. Let's take it the next step up.
Yeah, last year, my daughter, I think it was the organization called Got Green. They were doing a door-to-door campaign to provide box fans and filters to people in the low-income neighborhoods in Seattle.
Yeah. We just gave out 30 up at Tulalip to low-income, elders, pregnant women, women who were thinking of becoming pregnant, children, their families, because they're the future, right? And low income, I mean, they're not expensive. You can put one together for $40, and do a lot. It does a lot. So, and it's certainly better than nothing. So, yeah.
Yeah, last year I went to Home Depot right during the, like as that was getting started.
Yeah.
And they had a stack of like 50 box fans, and I grabbed 2 of them, and next, somebody immediately was grabbing 5 of them, and they were going real fast.
Yeah. I did this. The 30 I got was about 4 weeks ago. Home Depot, 1 week, they were $6.99. I came back the same week, 5 days later, $7.29. Every time they went up in price. And I find the filters online, and I buy them in bulk. So yeah, there is a less expensive way to do it that's affordable. So yeah. Anybody else? Any other thoughts, questions? I know it's,
Anyone seen HEPA filters for box fans in stock lately at Depot or Lowe's?
say that again, Tom, I'm sorry.
Anyone seen HEPA filters in stock recently at the Depot or Lowe's?
I've never seen a HEPA filter there. I've seen the MERV furnace filters. Usually you have to purchase the HEPA ones for the air cleaners online. So, yeah, but furnace filters are there. Oh, Costco right now, folks, having a big sale on furnace filters. I was just there yesterday. So they had a 3-pack of 20-inch by 20-inch. There's going to be a run on this. I know this is going to happen. All right. So 20-inch by 20-inch, $24. 3 of them.
Right.
MERV 13.
And the question, what does a MERV 13 filter cost? I actually just ordered some. They were about $11 or $12 a piece.
Yep.
On an online discount filter website. So,
Yep, there you go.
and wouldn't a HEPA filter restrict so much air that it would render it unusable?
Using the HEPAs do not, because they come in an air cleaner. It's the MERVs that go on the do-it-yourself. So MERVs are meant for filters. HEPAs are meant for pre-made air cleaners, right? Ones that you buy. I've never taken a HEPA filter from an air cleaner and put it on something else. I use it specifically because it's made specifically for that particular cleaner.
Yeah, and if you had a really high MERV filter and you put it in your HVAC system
Ooh.
for a week, you know, it would probably still work. It would load the motor.
Yeah.
And if the AC was running, it would create a kind of a load on that coil
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
not enough airflow.
Probably too much. That's why you want to check with the
probably,
man.
and it would give you it might give you just some part of the airflow. Air would still go through it, but it wouldn't be as much as you'd.
Yeah. Yeah. So it probably wouldn't do you as much good as putting in, you know, a MERV 13.
Yeah, I think within reason, like what you're going up to 13 from your 11 that you're designed for.
Yeah.
Isn't going to hurt too much for a short term, you know, for a few weeks.
Yeah. 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 So. And certainly always check with the manufacturer of your or your air handler or heat pump. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions or comments? Hello?
Oh, we can hear you, Tom.
Oh, I thought I heard somebody say something. Yeah, I
More
can
questions in the chat?
thank
I
you.
thought I saw some more.
Thank you to Eileen.
Welcome.
Thank you for a great presentation, a lot of information, and thank you all for coming out to an Eco Building Guild education session. Like I said, we've been doing these for almost 25 years, and they happen monthly through most of the year. And look forward to seeing you at future sessions. We will hopefully get back to in-person or some hybrid of in-person and online. Yeah, look forward to seeing you again. And thanks again to Mighty Energy, Pathway Design Build, and King County Green Tools for sponsoring the event. And with that, I think you're all anybody's welcome to stay on the meeting and talk. And I'll leave that up to Helen as to how long she keeps it on, but we will officially sign off for some discussion. At this point was when we usually go to the pub.
Thank you.
Most welcome. I'm going to
right.
sign
Good night.
off. It's been a
Good night.
long week.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Eileen.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Ellen, are you still on?
Oh yeah, I'm still on. I'm just having some technical difficulties on. Normally I have two monitors up and it's a lot slower to move around and navigate with one screen.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well,
Pat,
I'll tell you,
What
she
have you
did
been
a
doing,
really
Pat?
good job. A really good job on the details.
Yeah. I liked her idea about having speakers send out their PDF presentations in advance so that viewers can kind of follow along and go back to slides to reference if they have questions. I think that's a good idea.
So I got a question for you. When you, given that outside air is the gold standard,
Mhm.
if you're dealing with COVID, don't you want to have, and let's say that you have guests over, don't you want to like bump up your HRV to a higher level until until after they leave? I mean, wouldn't that be the best COVID
Yeah.
response?
Yeah. I mean, in general, the more people you have in a house, the more you want to bump up the ventilation.
And
In general, so, you know, if you've got airborne particulates, you'd certainly want to bump that up.
And so over at 21 acres, that happened automatically because we were measuring the CO2
Mhm.
level. But is there a CO2 monitor that's at the home level, the consumer level?
There are, so interesting. I just learned myself that there's a difference between a CO detector and a CO monitor. And what is often in our homes is just a detector, and it really is truly for an emergency. And monitors can be connected up into a ventilation system that trigger the ventilation system to ramp up or kick on or whatever it's set to. So yeah, you can do that for home solutions.
But is that something that is offered in like HRV systems?
Oh, that I don't know. I'd have to do some digging. This literally came up like 2 days ago for me, so I haven't had a chance to dive into it. But I know it certainly is more readily used in commercial settings than residential.
Right.
You can also set up CO sensors or monitors. Their sensors and monitors are seemingly interchangeable to monitor particulate air, you know, the pollution in the air and go off based on an increase in toxins, as opposed to an occupancy sensor or something else.
Right. Yeah. It's good that she gave us some links on various types of monitors.
Yeah, and from what I understand, the sensors, the CO sensors, are the ones that people place lower in the room because their trigger is a lot lower, and the CO detectors, you know, up in the ceilings are meant to detect extremely harmful levels.
Right. Acting more
Yeah.
as an alarm as opposed
Right.
to
Yeah.
Like a monitor.
Correct.
But as
But
far
I don't know of any systems that connect to an HRV system. I mean, I know they're most typically used in garage settings, like parking garage settings.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you're talking about a commercial
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. I don't know how much the technology is translated to residential. I haven't taken a dive into that yet because it just came up. I thought, oh, this is something to explore.
So, you know, I was concerned about COVID, and so I was trying to figure out the best way to renovate my system.
Yeah.
And I talked to the guys over at GNS Heating about doing a HEPA filter. And they said that they didn't think that was worth it because it's actually an addition to the system. And so what it will do is it will take a part of the incoming air, clean it, and then put it back into the system.
Yeah.
I suppose that if you're having it run 24/7, eventually it cleans out the whole house. But it's it's running like $3,000 to put in
Yeah.
something like that, which is awfully expensive. So they came up with this other solution. I think I mentioned it to you the other day. It's called the ERIS system. And from what I saw on Eileen's presentation, the ERIS is it's ionic.
Mm,
And when I come into the house, I can smell the
yeah.
what do you call it, the ozone.
Yeah.
But they had this thing tested at I forget which university, but they had it tested, and it had a dramatic effect on reducing all kinds of pollutants, including viruses.
Hmm.
And they did understand, that ozone causes problems.
Yeah.
And so literature is like it addresses that ozone problem. I guess I got to go back and really look at how are they addressing it. They say that this technology is, was developed at NASA and all of that, and I don't know how much of that is just, sales pitch.
Right.
But it was kind of surprising that she picked up on that and said that it still produces the ozone.
Yeah.
And I think it does, because I can smell it.
Yeah. I know that smell. I once got my, the ozone treatment in my car when I had it cleaned. And I thought maybe this was a mistake. Sorry, I've got folks watching the Sounders game.
Okay.
I don't know if that picked up or not.
Yeah, it was loud and clear. Somebody's having fun over there.
Yeah. So Tom might actually know a little bit more about the CO sensors that tie into exhaust systems. I don't know about HRVs. He might know the answer to that too.
Yeah. I'll probably ping him on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, great job. I'm really pleased with the level of detail that she went into.
Oh yeah. She does a lot of industry news updates and is always following along with the latest and greatest. So
yeah,
it's always something new. She's always got something new to bring to the table.
Yeah, that is so great.
Yeah.
So I was glad to hear that we're going to have a picnic too, right?
Yeah, as far as I know. I'm not too heavily involved in coordinating that. But that's the plan, after June 30th, supposedly the county's gonna be completely open again. So it'll be outside again as usual. So
yeah. So that makes sense,
Yeah.
So people can mask up if they want to, and
exactly.
It'll be fresh air. So
Yep.
maybe a lot of people will show up.
Yeah, I think I sure hope so. It'll be nice to see people face to face.
Yeah, that will be nice. I'm still getting used to the idea of being unmasked in public.
Yeah.
I think I'm still running scared.
I don't think you're the only one, Pat. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to sign off.
I've got my. Well, I actually, Pat, if you're going to the picnic, it'll be nice to see you. I've been wondering. I went out to 20, so it'll be nice to chat.
Yeah, Linda, good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I'll unmask myself for a second here.
There you are. Oh, we all look a little different these days.
Yeah.
So how's your building coming? Are you doing the co-housing thing or anything like that still?
Oh yeah,
or?
big time. I've got I've got a couple projects going. One is down in Burien and another one is up in Arlington. And the Arlington one is like going great guns, great guns. It's we've got a ton of, so there's two levels. There's explorer level where you like are kicking the tires, and then there's the member level in which they're draining your bank account. so, so I am one of those that have a bank account that's being drained. But it's really the explorers. At any one time, we have a good 15 to 20 explorers flowing through the system. And then members were probably up near about 20. And the first phase of the project is 35. And we're a
I've
good.
been seeing some of those.
I'm sorry.
I was checking out some communities that are kind of being put together. Is that what this is too, a community?
Yep. There's one more local up in Marysville. They're still hunting down members.
Yeah, I did see that.
Arlington, Arlington is an eco village. So it's very heavily farm and regenerative agriculture focused. But we do have info sessions for people that are just curious. And then if you want to join the explorers and really dig into some of the committees, we must have at least a dozen working committees on various parts of the project, all volunteers.
I was going to mention too, the East Side Villages Alliance, we're looking at doing tiny houses on the east side here for the community. And we were approached by Lehigh because they have additional funding, and there's actually some properties and places that might work in Woodinville in areas like that. So that's kind of nice. I'm doing a session on affordable housing next month with our
good.
East Side group. So that,
Yeah.
and then the Plymouth Housing group is doing a big project over here that includes the new men's shelter, along with a lot of other affordable housing. And yeah, so I've been busy with lots of other things, but I think I need to get back into being a little bit better at putting some work in some of these places, things that mean something to me. So anyway, it's really good to hear you. And hopefully we'll see you. There's another session in July, right? Another topic?
I believe so.
I don't remember what that one is.
Yeah. It's I did see something in the last couple of days in the email, so you might check that.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I might text you sometime. So it's good to see you, though.
Agree. Okay.
Right.
You too.
Take care.
Talk to you later.
Bye, Pat.
Bye-bye.